Hello, guys and girls. Trickster here, bringing you another episode of FTB Unstable. We are up to episode 50, 50, 50, 50. Yay! Kind of a personal milestone. My longest running series. And we have, last episode, set up this really cool deep resonance setup. We have the lava going into the tank. We are controlling it via this redstone or the liquid monitor and redstone, and we keep it at a nice, comfortable, approximately 8,000 millibuckets. It goes into the smelter, generates, smelts that down, and generates this RCL. We then purify it with the purifier. It then hits it with the purifying laser and brings it up, and we currently have 100 with a whole bunch of spent filter materials as a result. So let's go upstairs and make a couple of things. Let's go all the way up to our base. We need a valve. We don't have a valve yet because we want to only allow this liquid out for a certain... Actually, I'm going to need a little bit more filter. Actually, you know what? I have some in there. Let's try that. We're going to need that comparator down there. And let's make that. There we go. And the valve again. So what this valve does is... Let's get back downstairs to our reactor. What it does is it'll only allows liquid that meets a certain threshold to get out of there. So we will put that here. Now, normally see people put a tank on top, a valve, and then the tank below. But we don't have to do that because we will put a tank back there. So now let's take a look at the interface. It says if it is 100% purity, 100% strength, 100% strength, and 100% efficiency. If and only if, only when it reaches that, then we allow it to go out. And we can control this with redstone, but we don't care about that. But ultimately, apply it, and that's where we want it to go. Now, I've seen that we have, how much is in there? 6,000 millibuckets. So let's set this to, 6,000 millibuckets. We hit apply. And let's see if it actually starts draining. Drain for me, please. Yes, no, maybe, sometimes. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. I know you want to. Darn, I was hoping that would work. The last time I did this, I needed to set it to 99. But that was because I had just a hair. It was like 99%. But I'm thinking that if this isn't working, that you'll still have to have this at 99%. So if we set this to 99... Let's see, did that do anything? I don't think so. So let's try it to 99 on all of these. 99 and 99. See if that goes. Well, I'm scratching my head because this has worked in a test. Well, when I set this up first to make sure I could make this as compact as possible, it worked perfectly. Setting this back here, and I'm really frustrated I can't get it to work again because that would have been really clever and cool. But for some reason it's not working now, so I have to place it down there. I've set this to 99. At 100 it doesn't work. So I've set that at 100, and unfortunately I'm going to have to use one more tank, and then we put the crystallizer on top of it, and that will need power. So it gets power, and you can see it will start. Actually, you can see right there, it's got a crystal in there, and it starts generating a crystal. So that will take the fluid from the bottom. It's very, very unfortunate that I couldn't contain this how I wanted to. If I remember, I'll overlay some screenshots of the way I had it set up with some labels on there so you can see just how it was working, and it's brilliant setup. So if you can get it to work that way, wonderful. For some reason, it just won't work down here. Could be the chiseling bits behind there, but I don't know. Anyway, let's come back when this is finished. And it's finished. Now we have a crystal with 100% power, of course, but we have 100% strength, 100% efficiency, and 100% purity. So let's grab that guy. Wasn't too expensive. It's just some resonating ore, a couple of nether stars, and a couple of emeralds to create that. But we got to do something with that. So let's go up here and let's do some... let's see, deep resonance. Now we're going to have to actually harness the power out of that. For that, we're going to need a generator. So generator is pretty straightforward. Just a machine frame in there, which I don't have. I know I made a few, but oops, wrong click. Right there. Let's do that. Well, let's make 2 of them. So, going to grab 2 of those guys. And now I believe this one also needs a machine frame. It sure does. So let's grab that. And then we're going to need the energy collector. And that's pretty much all we need. Oh, we'll need a generator controller. So let's grab that guy as well. And we're going to need one of these comparators. Oh, need more. Oops. Redstone torch, please. Let's grab a stack of those because we always need those. And lastly, we'll create the comparator so we can create the generator. Okay, let's go back downstairs. About right there. Whoa! There we go. Oh, I also made a pedestal. I rearranged this. We're back down to a 3x2. So it goes 1, 2, and then those tanks underneath is 3 and 2 wide. And really, we only have 2 of these blocks back here. So what I want to do is I want to set a power over here. And we're going to feed it up into here. So what we need to do is we need to set down the generator controller. We need to set down the generator right next to it. And each one of these handles 10,000 RF per tick at a time. It has an internal buffer of a 500,000 RF. So let's just see for right now. We'll keep one of these in my inventory and see how well it does. And this guy needs to be on top of here. We're going to need a lever for the controller. Good. And then we'll just throw that guy right on top so we can see the on-off status right here. I could also throw it on the side. And then the crystal just needs to be anywhere within proximity. So we'll set it down right there. And we can do some more advanced stuff with the pedestal and stuff, but let's see if that works. Oh, too powerful. Because this crystal is the bomb. That's why we made a second generator. And so we put that guy down. And now let's fire that up. And there we go. So now if we hover over, let's see, yeah, right here. So now it is showing us it's generating 19,980 RF, roughly 20,000 RF per tick. Okay, so that will store that. Those guys are both filled up right away, and you notice that it's a million RF between the two. We'll need to power that up, and in fact, what we can do is we can move this over one, and then just continue this on down. Let's grab that right there and right there, and that will harness it our power for us. We turn that on, and boom, boom, boom. Really cool. So now we are doing power of 20,000 RF with that, and you can see the crystal power left is going down slowly but surely. So we don't want to leave this running all the time because it will drain it. We only need to do it when it actually needs power. But there is side effects, and so far we haven't really been getting any of these side effects yet. It could be because I have things like resistance, but there is radiation being generated. This does generate radiation, but we don't know how much because we don't have a way to measure it. So let's see the radiation monitor. Now the radiation monitor is pretty simple. Compass, clock. I know I don't have a clock in there. So let's grab one of those. And I think we have everything else. Surely do. And so let's do that. Head back downstairs. And let's take a look. No residual radiation right now. So let's turn this on and see. Up in our left-hand side, it's a little obscured. But there we go. There's some. I can also just right-click on this. And so we're doing pretty good, right? A couple hundred right now. I mean, just standing right next to it, it's pretty good. And that's because of the high purity. Purity makes a huge difference. Now, we really don't have to worry about too much until we get into tens of thousands of radiation. So we don't have to worry about that too much, even if we're standing right next to it and running and see it will slowly start dissipating. Let's go stand over here. And you can see it slowly going down, and now we're under 1,000, and it'll dissipate pretty easily. If you had an impure, the higher the impurity, the more it starts affecting yourself. First thing is hunger, all the way up to like the wither effect and eventually die. And if it's a lot of radiation, it can actually affect the ground and create radiated soil. But there's some other things we can do. We need those spent crystals. Forgot to grab those. Let's grab some of these here. Go back up. and we will create some of the dense obsidian and or dense glass. So for right now, let's just create some of these dense glass. We should have enough of that in there. So, because we need to throw this in here, and then let's go back and create that again. So we'll create maybe 16 of these, right? So for a nice viewing window, and then we'll create maybe, oh, I don't know, another 16 of these. Let's see how far we get. And put these on our bar, and let's go down and build out kind of a little protective shell for that. So the first thing I want is, I definitely want a window in here. Oops. I had a little bit of a hiccup, and I misplaced. So yeah, let's do, come on, that block right behind me is causing me problems. 2, 3, and 4, and then let's put the last one here, so it's kind of a full wall here. And then we'll do these guys. And here, and miss that one. And then over here, we will do this. Here, and there we go. Hey, that actually worked out perfectly. So now we've got an area, but oh no, we can't actually turn this on or off. But watch this. See if this will work how I want it to. Will it actually go through this glass? No, I can't place it on glass, but in theory, I should be able to place it right there, which is sharing a block. Yes. And then let's close this up. Now we'll check our radiation. And we see some up top. Look at that. Double digits is all. See if it actually, can I get any closer? If we go over here. Yeah, right here in this corner, there is absolutely none. But right here, we finally made it into triple digits. If we stand right here in front of it. Yeah, it's just, depending on where you stand, right? So minimal, absolutely minimal. And that's it. That's all we have to do to create that. Now let's work on some automation, right? To turn this on and off when we, when we need it. So give me a second. I'll prepare and we'll be right back. And we are back. I have made myself an RF monitor. If you read the description, it talks about monitoring the amount of RF in an adjacent machine. Well, that's very similar to the liquid monitor that we used before, so we're going to put that to good use. We've also got a logic gate here, and I'll show you how that works here in a minute, but we might not need that. The next thing I need is some sort of buffer. Now, I can make one of these vibrant capacitors or just use the one that's in here, but I think I want to keep this all in the kind of RF tools, deep resonance realm, and make one of these or use one of these power cells. Now I've got 2 of them in here. I haven't infused this one yet, so I'm going to go ahead and use the one that's been infused. The problem is that it's tied to the other network, which fills up extremely fast because we've got tons of RF generation being pumped into it at any given moment. So, it doesn't really help much. So I want to create another one of these cards to create kind of a separate power cell network. And so this one's unlinked right now. And so let's go downstairs. Let's see, there we go. And I want to kind of break in here. Let's just break a path into here. And so ultimately, what I want to do is I want to come into a power cell here and then feed up into the energy cell. Here's the way these work. Most people will use, let me just set this down and I'll explain. Most people just use the in or out, all right? And it just sets the whole block. So see, it's blue here, and then I hit out, and that means, and now they're red, and all sides are red. That means every single one of them are, out at this point. Or if I set this to in, every single side of here is in. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you use the smart wrench, actually, you know what? I want to do a test. If I use any wrench, will that work? Yeah. So any wrench, you can independently set the sides. And let's say I don't want that one on. That's off. That one's export or output. That one's input. The proverbial, Minecraft, blue is in, orange is out, and nothing off. So you can independently set these guys however you want them. Or you can go inside of here and set them all or nothing, right? Or all at once. Get rid of this bit bag. Kind of done doing chiseling bits. All right. So that's how that works, and we're going to leverage that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set this guy down, and that'll connect into here, right? And so what we want to do is we want to have it input from the bottom, but we can't quite get to it, and output from the top. Because if I were to see how this is linked already with this, that just means that it's part of that power cell network. But if I were to put a different network in here, and let's see here, can I just do that one? There we go. So now it has got a whole new link ID. And so when I put that in there, now it's a different network than this guy, which is link ID 3. So the link ID 3 is where all the rest of my network is. And that was, tons and tons of RF with all the different power cells around, even connected to my solar network, connected to my big battery upstairs. And I don't want that. I want to feed into that network, but I want to be separate from that. You don't have to do this. It's just something that I want to do because I want this to be auxiliary power. And if I don't do that, then this would always be full because I have tons of other generating power. Okay, so the first thing is we need everything to be input. Now that's going to charge that up, of course, and you can see it's fully charged just from the few seconds that we were here. But if we leverage this, we can turn this to output. Now look at the energy. It's outputting into our main network, and our base has, a bit of energy usage throughout it, and that's ultimately what's feeding it. It's just helping to feed the collective usage of power. But the rest of the sites are all set as input. And so if I were to turn this guy on, oops, don't hit it with a wrench. Let's rotate that all the way around. There we go. Hit it with your hand. So I turn that one on, and we should be able to see this guy really kick in, and there we go. It fills it right up. So that's the concept we're going to use. However, we only want this to kick on in certain emergency settings. So ultimately, what I can do is I can have this feed our main base, and I can use a logic gate, combine it with this switch over here, but I've come up with a little bit better way I think I want to try first. Is using the RF monitor, and we will put this down right here. And the way this works is it needs, just like the liquid monitor over here, if you remember the liquid monitor interface says, what do we want to monitor? And then we have a less than, greater than, and no testing whatsoever for a certain level. The same thing applies to the RF monitor over here. So the RF monitor, we're going to say, remember the generator itself, we can't quite get to it. Let me get in here. That has a buffer itself, and of course it's fed into here, but this has a buffer, so we could monitor that if we wanted to. But that kind of drains very quickly. I kind of want to look at this guy here, and so we pick the advanced power cell if it's less than or more than or off. So we want to say if it's less than, let's say, I don't know, how about 12%, 10%? That sounds good. And it's slowly getting there. I mean, we're at 25%. Let's say if it's less than, let's say right around 25%. If it's less than 25%, I want it to go on. Now you might be saying, why isn't it working? Oh, yeah. Or some of you might be saying you have to hit it with a wrench. Well, remember, this is where the redstone comes out. And it doesn't go down to the block below it. It comes out in front of us. So it's in this block right here. But alas, the glass is going to go there, and glass doesn't conduct redstone signal. So that's unfortunate. That would be really nice so we could actually see this facing this way, know exactly what's happening, and control it. Now, I could have it go over to this block over here, but that's, and then maybe have a redstone signal go down. And that's kind of what I was thinking about doing with this. I could have the redstone feed into it, and then tie in with this and kind of have an AND function. But I think what I want to do is I'll just rotate this. So let's see here. We're at 0. So if I rotate this, wait just a second, look at that. Now it's kicking on. It's generating us RF. Let's see, once we get over 25%, there we go. Now it will kick on. Or, I mean, it'll stop running. So that's one way to automate it in a single block. Again, nice and compact. The good thing is this doesn't take durability, so that we've seen this before in some of my builds, is the whole flapping going on and off. I kind of want to change this up. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Hold on, give me a second. Let me get it back. Don't hit it with a wrench. I do that every time. So what if we were, say, I think what I want to do is I actually want to make this part of the other network, And so it's going to now, if we have less than, let's make this as line of last resort. So I think that's how I want to handle sort of the flapping aspect. So if it's less than, 25%, then that means something serious is having a problem and our base is, needing extra power. So this now is set up to be last resort. So if I were to take away the other, like let's say something happened to solar panels and it wasn't getting power in from the solar panels. And then my reactor here, a little bit of lag. My reactor is configured to fire, kick in at a much higher level, and it starts feeding the base. And let's say demand really went up, and then this network dropped below 25%, then it would kick in and start working and providing kind of the third tier of power. So yeah, I think that's the way I want it. So if you just had this is your single power source, and you had fairly low power demands, going up into, to power your base, this setup would work really well with, its own network or even, connected to other power cells. But right now I'm using a little bit too much that it sucks power too fast that it just ends up flapping. So that should work out well for my situation. So there we go. That is a completed build. And I believe this guy is an override because we have a separate our redstone signal going down to the block by right here. And that guy produces a redstone signal that goes into there separately. So I don't actually have to use the logic gate, which is pretty neat. I'm happy when I have an even more compact build. Now, we also talked about what else we could do with that. So let's go and make ourselves a pedestal. Right here. And so what this does is we're going to need a dispenser, and I probably don't have any bows. So let's make this real quick, and it should be everything here. And then redstone comparator we don't ever have. And maybe let's see if we have machine frame. Nope. You never need it. Never have enough of those guys. All right. So what the pedestal does is, let's go back down there. The pedestal is I can go ahead and break this, and it's a device that does two functions. One is whenever you put a crystal in there, it places it. We actually don't want it to do that. So let me see if I can get a glass in here and still access it. So it'll place it on top. All right, let's try that. Okay, let's rotate it. So it's up right there. There we go. Okay, that's what I want. So now what this does is, as you saw, whenever there's a crystal in here, it'll place it on top. Whenever there's a spent crystal, it'll dump it into a chest to the side. Now, in my case, I don't really care about that too much because this is the last resort type of power in my base. If I reach that state, there's something serious happening, and I'm going to have to figure out what else is going on, and I'll come down and deal with it manually. But just know that I could bump this wall out here. I could put a chest next to it. I could have spare crystals in it, and I'll pull from that chest and put them in here. And any spent crystals will suck it back down and place it back into the chest. And sort of you can have a buffer of multiple crystals that you've made and be able to use this. Very applicable when you want to make this your main power source for your base. So there we go. I call that a completed build. Might put a facade in there to make that look a little bit nicer, but ultimately that's nice and compact. Too deep. Technically we could bring it down a little bit and only have it too tall. And we rarely ever get any. Let's check our radiation here. Rarely get any radiation out here. Yeah, it's pretty small, especially when I'm in these corners here. But yeah, it might build up to maybe 100 or so. And remember, only at about 10,000 will it really start to affect you. And at about 20 to 30,000, it'll become serious. So yeah, that's awesome. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, guys, well, that's about all the time we have. I know it's a little bit shorter of an episode, but hopefully that's some good information. This is a nice compact setup for deep resonance. Notice I'm only using, well, I had to use 4 tanks in the end, but if you guys can get that to work with 3 tanks, I'd be interested to know, because I did get it to work, and I was really happy with that. But also, if you haven't upgraded your RF tools yet, that wireless transmitter for power, really nice, pretty cool. So I can get rid of that power up in the corner there. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, leave a like right down there. And also, if you're new to the channel, I'd appreciate a subscribe. That helps me out in the old YouTube spectrum. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I sure did. I love Deep Resonance. Really neat mod. We hadn't gotten into it until now, and so I really liked setting it up and playing with it. So, guys, have a good one, and until the next time, I will see you in the next one. Bye!